document, which is unredacted from the FBI, and that will begin as early as today, and that can happen at FBI headquarters. That's where the Oversight Committee members will head to see that document. Back to you.
Significant developments there. Logan Raddick live on Capitol Hill. Thank you, Logan.
Well, a federal grand jury indictment for former President Trump could be imminent. That's according to a new report from several sources. President Trump faces potential charges for his handling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. There are also reports that Trump has been sent a letter from federal prosecutors which confirms he is a target of an investigation, again, by special counsel Jack Smith, who was appointed by Merrick Garland. He's leading the classified documents probe and a separate one focused on Trump's actions leading up to January 6th. Yesterday, NBC News reported that former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon has been subpoenaed by Smith. That happened last month in relation to the Capitol breach investigation. Former Trump aide and MAGA Inc., a super PAC founder, Taylor Budowich, also announced yesterday on Twitter that he testified before a Florida grand jury, which is hearing evidence in the Mar-a-Lago docs probe. He called it a bogus and deeply troubling effort to use the power of the government to, quote unquote, get Trump. Joining us now for more on this, Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and Newsmax analyst Alan Dershowitz. He's the author of the book Get Trump, The Threat to Civil Liberties, Due Process, and Our Constitutional Rule of Law. Professor Dershowitz, great to see you.
Welcome in.
Well, virtually all of my predictions that I made in Get Trump come true, especially that they would almost certainly indict Trump, not for mere possession of classified material, but for some obstruction charge relating to how he responded to the beginning of the investigation. And that's likely to happen now that he's been named as a target of the investigation.
Yeah, these process crimes, as they're called. And it's good to talk to you, Professor Dershowitz. We had John Cole on earlier this week. You guys co-authored that piece about why these cases shouldn't come. And this is something we've talked so much about with you in particular, is the never-ending cycle of these impeachments and persecutions of presidents. You always warned me that eventually the United States will become kind of like Israel, in a place where you become prime minister, you leave office, you get persecuted for political reasons, too political in this respect. Is that where we are as a nation?
Well, I hope it's, if it became Israel, it wouldn't be a problem, because there the system at least is quite fair. What I worry about is it becomes Turkey, or it becomes Iran, or it becomes a country where a suspicion is equivalent to conviction of guilt on one side of the political spectrum rather than the other. The key is you have to have one system and one standard of law enforcement. If there is a certain level of evidence of serious crime against anybody on either side, whether it's the sitting president, the son of the sitting president, the former president, the same rule has to be applicable to all of them. The Justice Department cannot be allowed to use its enormous power of the criminal justice system to influence political elections.
And as we talk, we haven't heard much about the investigation that Robert Hur is conducting into Biden, as you mentioned, Professor Dershowitz. I do want to play a little clip of how Trump is responding to fight back, some say, against Jack Smith's investigations and possibly a looming indictment. Here's a bit of an ad he released on Truth Social.
So like a pack of rabid wolves, they attack. So let's impeach him. Let's get tainted radical left prosecutors to charge him. Let's conspire with Hillary and the FBI with fake stories about him. All to distract from Biden's incompetence, weakness, and money-grabbing corruption.
Obviously he's running for re-election here. If you were representing him, I'm not sure you would say put out an ad, but he's exercising his First Amendment, Professor Dershowitz. It's really wild, the times we're living in, where this is his way to respond to what he believes is a weaponization of our government against him, and that he maintains he is the victim here.
Well, he's not acting like most criminal defendants. I've represented what? 5,300 criminal defendants, most of them stay quiet. And that's why he's gotten in trouble, but he's exercising his constitutional rights, not only under the First Amendment, but under the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment. He didn't just simply roll over. When prosecutors said, we think you're in trouble over possession of classified material, he fought back. And you're allowed to do that. You're not allowed to cross lines into criminal obstruction of justice. But those are very hard lines to get evidence on. You have to prove a corrupt motive. You have to prove that he went beyond just doing what any defendant is entitled to do, fighting back against what he believes is a government campaign to get him. Get Trump is a reality. That's why I wrote my book. I didn't make up that title. That title was a campaign pledge made by district attorneys and and attorneys general in New York. They ran for office on the campaign pledge to get Trump. And we're seeing those campaign pledges come true. We're seeing them come true in Florida, in Washington, D.C., in Fulton County, and in New York. And it really does interfere with an election. Let the people decide. I'm going to vote against Trump. Give me that right to vote against him. You vote for him. Let's have it decided at the ballot box, not in the courthouse.
Well, yes, and I know if an indictment comes and it doesn't, years from now, there's an acquittal or it doesn't stick, it's somewhat, it's moot because now the election has passed us, Professor Dershowitz.
Yeah, and we saw what happened with Hillary Clinton and Comey. There was an impact on the election, even though he said that she might have crossed some lines, but no prosecutor would ever prosecute. You also have to ask the question. I ask it in my book, Get Trump, the Hillary Clinton question and the Richard Nixon question. The Hillary Clinton question is, how is his case different from Hillary Clinton's case, Pence's case, Berger's case, other cases where there's been no serious criminal prosecution? And the Nixon case, remember, Nixon left office not because Democrats wanted him impeached, but because Republicans, because his own party. It should be bipartisan when you're going after a president, a former president, or a person who's running for president. There should be a widespread consensus that he's crossed the line into criminality. That consensus just isn't there today.
Professor Dershowitz, thank you. Great to see you as always.
My pleasure. Thank you.